Hey everyone, this is Ryan from Stromboli Games, and here is the first video in a video series that I am working on. It's a game called Kerbal Space Program. Now, if you don't already know, Kerbal Space Program is a sandbox game in which you manage a space program, as you might have guessed, on a planet populated by these little green men called Kerbals. So let's get going here, and we will see what we got. We will start a new game. Player name, Stromboli. Alright. We have 3 different choices for game modes. Sandbox is, as you would expect, everything is available to you right from the get-go. You don't have to worry about money or science. It's just, here's the parts, go have fun. Science, it's partly like that. There's no money. You don't have to worry about how expensive your spaceships are going to be, but you still need the technology to build those things, and we will show you the tech tree later. And here's career mode. This is where you manage, as you can see in the little description down here, all aspects of your space program, and that is what we are going to do. I'm just going to leave flag like this, but if you wanted to change your flag, there's all sorts of options here that you can do. Doesn't matter too much, it's just cosmetic, but I'm just going to leave it at the default. So, let's get this started. Extra-planetary Launchpad, that's one of the mods I have. I'll probably put a link to some of the mods that I use in this game. This is a really fun one. It lets you build spaceships in other places other than the vehicle assembly building that you see here. Alright, this here is the tech tree. And since we just started this new game, all we can see is the start, tech, and then the next thing from there. After this point, it'll start branching out, and it'll get a little more complex, but right now, this is what we got for tech. Not much, but it's a good start. Alright, so the first thing you want to do when you get into Kerbal Space Program is you're going to want to get money. As you can see here, the default start gives you 25,000, which won't last too long in this game. So we're going to want to make more. To do that, we're going to click on this building here, and we're going to pick a couple contracts for us to complete. And I'm going to pick launch a new vessel, accept contract, and set an altitude record of 5,000 meters. And as you can see here, it just gives a little briefing, the prestige level, which means, like, you know, how difficult will it be, and then the rewards here at the bottom. Advance. As soon as I hit accept contract, this is the amount of money that they will give me to help complete the contract. And then, of course, this is what I will get once I complete the contract. And then this little gold star here is the reputation gain that I'll get. Reputation, you can comment in the comments about exactly what it does. I'm not really sure. Alright, so let's get this going here. We're going to accept this one, and as you can see, my money went up a little bit from accepting it. And I'm going to leave these 2 for a little bit later. Don't want to take on too much at a time. Alright, your active contracts are listed up here. As you can see, it now has launch a new vessel and set an altitude record up here. So, we will go into this vehicle assembly building, and this is where you build your spacecraft. And these are all the tabs with all your different components. Right now, it is quite empty, as our technology severely limits on the things that we can build right now. So to get going, you're going to want to get this command pod Mark 1. Alright, I'm going to raise it up a little bit. And first things first, I'm going to throw a parachute on here so that our Kerbal does not die when he tries to come back to the surface. That's always good. Alright, and then here are your propulsion. It has all your engines and then the different fuel tanks and solid fuel boosters that you have available right now. And for my purposes right now, I'm just going to use a couple of these FLT200 fuel tanks. Again, nothing fancy. And this LVT30 liquid fuel engine. It's not bad, not bad for starting. Alright. So we have our little rocket, but before we launch, we're going to want to look at the staging down here. As you can see, the engine and the parachute will activate at the same time if we just launched right now. Now, to fix this, you hit this little plus sign down here. It'll add a separate stage, and then you can drag whatever you want down here. And these stages can also be rearranged by just clicking on this orange bar. But for our purposes right now, we want the engine to be fired first. Staging is activated by hitting spacebar. Alright, so let's launch this. We're being taken to the launch pad. Alright, here we are in the launch pad. We have our crew listed in their little portraits down here. Alright, everything looks good. Oh, by the way, you can also rearrange your staging here if, you forgot to do it or realized that you missed something in the VAB, the Vehicle Assembly Building, and you wanted to change it last minute so that you don't die and other bad things. Yeah, you can change things right here. So, this looks good. So here's your throttle. You hit Shift to increase, Control to decrease. To lower it all the way, you hit X. To raise it to max, instantly, you hit Z. These are all the default keys, and I believe they can be configured any way you want. But I'm going to have it at about 3/4 thrust. Before I launch, I'm going to turn on what is called SAS. What SAS does is it will use electricity to stabilize my spacecraft so that it doesn't tumble out of control, and it will stay pointed generally in the direction that I want it to go. So let's hit spacebar and fire up this engine. Alright. As you can see here, it has said that I have completed my contract of launching a new vessel. Launch confirmed. We've taken our first steps towards space. Excellent. So you can either close or just discard that. You don't need that anymore. I'm just going to back up here. I don't want to get going too fast. The faster you go, the more air drag you'll have, and the less efficient your engines are going to work. It doesn't really matter for my purposes right now, since all I had to do was reach this altitude here. But in general, it's good to, kind of stay consistent. So now that I've cut my engines, you see my surface velocity is starting to decrease. We're still climbing, but as this reaches 0, we'll start falling back down to the planet. Alright. So while we're up here, falling back down, we can do a little bit of science. Basic science is, you can right-click on your command pod, and crew report. Crew report, we're flying over Kerbin's shores. The shores look inviting, and you watch the waves roll into the coast. We're going to keep that data, and it will be stored in the command pod, and will be recovered with the ship when we recover the vessel. Alright, you can do EVA and take readings outside, but while we're falling like this, it's not a good idea. In my experience, your Kerbal will just fly off the ladder and slam into the ground without any parachute or any way to stop him. So if you want to, kill off your Kerbals, that's a good way of doing it. And here we are falling back almost exactly onto the launch pad. And this is the point where you probably want to deploy a parachute. I guess I'll go ahead and do that. You hit spacebar again, and it'll fire off. I'm just going to use my engines to slow me down a little bit more. And here we are. We have landed almost exactly where we had taken off from. And now here, that we're not falling, we can safely take our Kerbal out on EVA. And then here we can do a little bit more science. We can do an EVA report from floating just above the surface. EVA report while flying above Kerbal shores. We'll keep that data. And I'm just going to store that because I'm going to take another EVA reading down here. EVA report. Keep that. And then there's also take a surface sample. The surface is charred and coated with burnt rocket propellant. There are also trace amounts of a conspicuous green substance. I wonder what that could be. Anyway, we'll keep this data. And if we wanted, we can plant a flag. I don't really feel like it right now. But you can do that if you so choose. And I'm going to hop back into my spacecraft here. Store everything. Board it. And now at the top, you will see you have an option to recover the vessel. You click on that and take you into a little loading screen. And when it finishes, it'll come up with a mission summary report right here, where it tells you, all the experiments you recovered for science, your total science earned, parts. It'll show, all the different things you had in your spacecraft, and you can recover parts, that weren't destroyed in landing. And depending on the distance, you'll get a different percentage. But since we landed at the launch pad, we get 100% of the value back. So that's a good strategy. Excuse me. That's a good strategy, just landing as close as you can to the launch pad to recover as much material as you possibly can. It helps. It helps. Definitely helps. And then here you have your crew members recovered. And since that wasn't really impressive mission, we're not getting any reputation, it appears. Normally you will get a little bit of reputation for, successfully recovering crew members alive. You'll lose reputation if crew members die, because, no one wants to give contracts to a space agency that continuously loses their Kerbonauts. Can't really blame them, can we? So there we have it. You just did your first couple contracts. As we can see here, we had completed that set altitude record of 5,000 meters, got our rewards. Everything's looking good. And with that, I'm going to end this video. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. This is Ryan from Stromboli Games, signing off.